Anthony Gordon, Julian Alvarez, Bernardo Silva, Josko Gvardiol. Whether FC Barcelona already sealed these deals, or they are just pushing hard, one fact is absolute. Barca is officially back hunting down the biggest stars in world football. Plenty of Barcelona supporters probably can't even recognize their own club right now, especially the newer fans. Many have spent years watching the Catalan side bleed cash, so they only know the version that was completely flat broke, a pure number 9, if he can actually land one. But the real question is, can he? Because their massive financial limits just don't leave room for that. The club that literally couldn't register new players. The team battling severe money issues every single summer window. So when they see Barca chasing elite superstars again, they're probably asking the exact same question as the rest of us. How on earth is this even possible? Someone needs to explain how this football club could possibly afford both Anthony Gordon and Julian Alvarez right now. How does a team that could barely register its own players suddenly start chasing the most expensive transfers on the entire planet? How does a club that sold its own assets and yanked financial levers just to survive suddenly look like the heaviest spender in Europe? After all, according to Uli Hoeneß, wasn't this team completely out of cash? Well, here is the catch. Barca never struggled to bring cash in. Their total revenue actually stayed massive for years. The real issue was spending it. One very strict La Liga financial rule kept the Catalan giants completely trapped, no matter how many millions they actually generated. The guy who finally dragged Barcelona out of that hole is the heavy-set man right here, because before he walked in, their books were an absolute disaster. In March 2021, Barcelona was barely breathing. They were drowning in $1.3 billion of debt, wages eating up 110% of their income. Empty stadiums from the pandemic, legal probes hunting down former President Bartomeu, La Liga enforcing brutal financial control, and Lionel Messi, the absolute greatest to ever wear the shirt, nearing the end of his deal with zero solutions. The golden tiki-taka era of Xavi, Iniesta, Pep and MSN was totally dead. The fans were furious. The boardroom sat empty. Barcelona simply wasn't a football club anymore. It was a financial ticking time bomb wrapped up in nostalgia. Only one guy could save them. The exact same man who rescued Barca once before. When Joan Laporta returned, he fully understood he was walking straight into a hurricane, but he was ready. Most guys would never walk inside a burning building. Laporta didn't just walk in, he strolled in with a huge smile. March 7th, 2021. With the club completely broken, choking on debt and massive scandal, Laporta took the presidency once again. No flashy promises this time. He never sold fake miracles or giant superstar transfers. The football world changed, and so had his team. This wasn't about chasing glory anymore. It was pure survival. No Lionel Messi to rely on, zero transfer budget, and absolutely no room for mistakes. They had less cash than a guy begging on the street, but Laporta brought one thing nobody else possessed: memory. He remembered exactly what a shattered Barcelona looked like, and better yet, he had already fixed it before. I fixed this before, and I will do it again. That was the heartbeat of his entire campaign, because back in 2003, Barcelona was just as lost. Real Madrid kept lifting trophies, while the Blaugrana went 4 dry years without silverware. Madrid had sniped their best player, Luis Figo. They signed Zidane and Ronaldo. Barca lacked the star power, and they definitely lacked the trophies. The fans lost all hope. Laporta wasn't the clear favourite back then. He was never a football insider. He was a lawyer, a sharp politician, a proud Catalan, but most importantly, a massive fan. A club member who fully believed Barcelona could be more than just a team. It could be a true movement. Right away, his incredible charm took over. He made huge promises to bring in David Beckham. That deal totally failed, but his massive ambition fired up the entire city. Unsurprisingly, he locked down the election, and from day one, he totally ripped up the script. He brought in manager Frank Rijkaard, then signed Ronaldinho, the grinning Brazilian magician who injected pure joy straight into Camp Nou. Laporta wasn't just building a squad, he was rebuilding Barca's soul. Under his watch, they secured consecutive La Liga titles in 2005 and 2006. In 2006, Barca also captured their second Champions League trophy, taking down Thierry Henry and Arsenal in an unforgettable European final. It was an absolute thrill. Florentino Perez and his Galacticos got totally outclassed by Laporta's reborn Barcelona. Lending Ronaldinho, Samuel Eto'o, and the pure magic of La Masia let Barca climb right back to the absolute peak of European football. But by 2008, the vibe shifted again. Ronaldinho lost his spark, and Rijkaard walked away. Right then, everyone expected them to hire a massive superstar manager like Jose Mourinho. He conquered England with Chelsea. Given his deep history with the club, bringing in the special one felt like the only logical move. But Joan Laporta hates the obvious play. Instead, he gambled on a quiet, unproven guy from inside the house, Pep Guardiola. A massive gamble. Pep lacked any senior managerial experience, but Laporta spotted a spark in the Spaniard, and that spark ignited a modern football revolution. Guardiola shaped his entire squad around homegrown La Masia talent, Xavi, Iniesta, and a teenage Lionel Messi. This launched the tiki-taka era, a relentless possession system using rapid, razor-sharp passes to completely suffocate the opposition on the pitch. He built a Barcelona side powered by short, technically flawless magicians. An aggressive system pulled straight from the Johan Cruyff playbook, the pure concept of total football. It made perfect sense. Guardiola soaked up everything from his mentor, took those tactical theories and weaponized them. The final tally? 14 major trophies in just 4 seasons. Absolutely dominant, beautiful play that rewired the sport forever. When elite managers or legends debate peak soccer, Pep's Barcelona always ends the argument. That squad sparked a whole new generation of football minds. Even tacticians like Arne Slot admit taking heavy notes from them. I feel so lucky to have watched Pep Guardiola guide that Barcelona team live, because what they did out there was about way more than just grabbing 3 points. Their style was pure art. They dismantled top-tier opponents and made it look effortless. None of this magic happens without Laporta backing his own wild vision. In 2010, he finally stepped down, leaving Barca sitting on top of the world. They were undisputed champions, 3 superstars sweeping the Ballon d'Or podium, the smartest manager on the planet calling the shots from the touchline, delivering the most stunning brand of football anyone had ever witnessed. But just as quickly as they peaked, the empire started crumbling. Sandro Rosell took the president's seat. Early on, everything felt normal. Barca kept lifting silverware, but off the pitch, dark clouds were gathering fast. In 2013, Barcelona poached Neymar from Santos. The official price tag said 57 million euros. Later, leaks proved they actually dropped closer to 88 million euros on the Brazilian star. So why didn't the math add up? Turns out, a massive chunk vanished into secret offshore deals paying Neymar's father. A massive financial scandal that rocked the entire club. Rosell resigned in disgrace the following year. Taking over was his right-hand man Josep Maria Bartomeu. The guy knew basically zero about actual football, but demanded the parade of trophies continue. His brilliant master plan? Spend, and spend some more. Over 100 million euros on Dembélé, 120 million on Coutinho, even more cash burned on Griezmann. Massive names, outrageous fees, zero impact. Honestly, looking back, Neymar might be the single player who damaged the club's legacy the most. Totally indirectly, of course. The shady transfer deals surrounding his arrival in 2014 paved the exact path for Bartomeu to seize total power, and then his shock escape to PSG handed Bartomeu a ridiculous mountain of dirty cash to throw away. Regardless, the harder Bartomeu mashed the panic button, the harder the team crashed. The squad aged, the tactics rusted. Yet the reckless spending never stopped. Behind closed doors, Bartomeu was busy handing out bloated, unearned contract extensions the club simply had zero way to pay for. Messi alone pulled down 100 million euros a year. Benchwarmers who never saw the pitch were casually pocketing 4 to 8 million euros annually. Shocker their wage structure completely self-destructed. Barca actually hit a brutal breaking point where their player payroll outpaced their entire revenue stream. A total economic death spiral. Then COVID struck. Empty seats, zero matchday revenue, cancelled stadium tours. Camp Nou went dead silent. The club was financially drowning. Then 2020 hit and the floor fell out. 8-2 against Bayern Munich in Europe. A Champions League humiliation so severe, it signalled the absolute death of a footballing dynasty. Messi was officially done. He demanded a transfer out. 2 months later, a terrified Bartomeu and his entire board finally resigned. The global fan base was completely checked out. The locker room felt toxic, and the accounting books were bleeding out. Even the greatest living legend in Barcelona history wanted out. Barca wasn't the monster under the bed anymore. They had become the punchline of modern football. The Spanish giants were broken and bleeding fast. Enter a familiar face. March 7th, 2021, Joan Laporta wins the presidency again. Only this time around, the dumpster fire waiting for him burned infinitely hotter. The crushing pressure was unimaginable. He inherited a lethal debt load topping 1.35 billion euros. Sky-high salaries were eating up every cent of club revenue. While scrambling to balance the books, his number one priority remained crystal clear: save Lionel Messi. And for a fleeting minute, it felt totally doable. Messi actually shook hands on a brand new contract, but La Liga's ruthless salary caps and Barca's ruined bank accounts killed the deal dead. Even with the star taking a heavy wage cut, registering the paperwork was mathematically impossible. So on August 5th, 2021, the unthinkable happened. Barcelona officially announced Messi was leaving forever, blaming severe structural hurdles. 3 painfully short days later, Messi faced the flashing cameras, openly weeping. He admitted he desperately wanted to stay. He offered a 50% pay cut, but the rules held firm. Zero applause in the room, just absolute, crushing heartbreak. Fans, journalists, even Messi himself, everyone was in tears. Just like that, an entire era vanished. Laporta felt it too, but he stood firm on his call. He knew losing Messi was gut-wrenching, but saving the club from financial ruin had to come first. Keeping the Argentine legend meant burning Barcelona's long-term future to the ground. For the first time ever, Barca picked the crest over the icon. His exit closed a historic chapter. 21 years, 778 games, 672 goals. The greatest to ever wear the shirt. The greatest to ever play the sport. It was absolute agony for the fan base, but it had to be done. Once Messi left, Laporta stopped hoping for a miracle and got to work. He rolled out economic levers, bold, strategic plays designed to inject instant cash. From the outside, it looked straight out of a casino. Week after week, he yanked another lever, and boom, millions seemingly fell right out of the sky. First up, Barca sold 25% of their La Liga television rights for 25 years. The buyer was an investment firm called 6th Street. That move raised over 500 million euros. Then, they offloaded almost half of Barca Studios. And no, they are not shooting adult movies. It is the club's official media arm. They sold stakes to investors Socios.com and Orpheus Media. That banked them another 200 million euros. Critics at the time were highly skeptical. They wondered if trading future club assets for quick cash was a massive mistake. But Laporta firmly believed these aggressive financial plays would restore Barcelona to the top. Sure, it carried massive risk, but keeping the team alive and competitive required a calculated gamble. Yet Laporta knew deep down it took more than cash. You cannot simply buy success. Just ask Manchester United. This was really about rescuing and resurrecting the true identity of Barcelona, because while he was busy pulling financial levers, the squad was drowning on the pitch. By November 2021, Barca sat 9th in La Liga. Let that sink in. A global football giant, playing in what most call a 3-horse race, was stuck dead center in mid-table. A few years prior, finishing second felt like a total failure, an absolute doomsday scenario. Now they were tumbling out of the European qualification spots entirely. So what was Laporta's next move? He hired Xavi to manage. Xavi carried the pure DNA of Barcelona's playing philosophy in his blood. This guy captained the greatest Barca squad in history. He was the beating heart of the tiki-taka revolution. Easily one of the best central midfielders to ever touch a ball. But now he faced a brutal challenge rebuilding a totally shattered football team from scratch. And not just any squad, but a roster completely devoid of confidence. He walked in demanding absolute discipline, tight unity, and a return to the classic Barcelona style. Slowly but surely, the football improved. Despite arriving mid-season, Xavi dragged Barca right back up the standings. He leaned on the true club identity, letting hungry young talents run the show. Pedri, Gavi, Araujo and Balde were absolutely untouchable throughout that 2022 campaign. With progress clearly showing, the board gave Xavi financial backing. So where did that cash originate? It was that massive wave of funds generated by pulling those economic levers. Armed with fresh cash, Barca hit the transfer market like a kid raiding a candy aisle. They landed Robert Lewandowski, Rafinha, and Jules Koundé. In hindsight, it remains one of their best transfer windows ever. Because those three signings carried the squad heavily in the coming seasons, it also proved the sheer gravitational pull Barca still possessed. Even at rock bottom, they fended off all the other top clubs to sign world-class talent right in their absolute prime. I mean, Lewandowski had just finished a season totally worthy of the Ballon d'Or. Yet he still chose Catalonia over staying at Bayern Munich. Blending La Masia Academy graduates with elite signings, Xavi led Barca to the 2023 La Liga title, their first major trophy without Lionel Messi in 4 years. It was not pretty though. They clinched the league primarily by parking the bus and grinding out 1-0 victories. This was not Pep's fluid passing machine from 2011 nor the lethal MSN trio of 2015. This squad just scrapped for points, and the style simply did not matter. They secured the silverware. Laporta had successfully dragged the club out of the graveyard once again. While 2023 felt magical, the triumph was short-lived. By the following season, massive cracks started showing again. Barca crashed out of the La Liga title race incredibly early. Then came the humiliation in the Supercopa de España over in Saudi Arabia. Their defense made Vini look like prime Cristiano Ronaldo. They missed out on the Copa del Rey and predictably crumbled under Champions League pressure. That electric energy from 2023 completely vanished. At one dark point in the 2024 campaign, Xavi even announced he was going to step down. He eventually reversed his decision and stayed. But that whole saga proves just how toxic and heavy the atmosphere really was. When the dust finally settled, Laporta pulled the trigger on a brutal decision. He sacked Xavi, the ultimate club legend who dragged Barca from 9th place to league champions, the man who single-handedly brought hope back to Catalonia. Looking back, it turned out to be the exact right call. But man, the way Laporta handled it definitely didn't look great to the rest of the football world. He practically begged Xavi to stay. Then he fired him the second the Spanish manager complained that Barcelona just couldn't match the spending power of Europe's top clubs. Xavi did an incredible job. He actually built the foundation. He handed debuts to rising stars like Kubasi, Yamal and Fermin Lopez. But Laporta refused to back a manager who already accepted defeat in the title race. He was totally done hearing complaints about the club's bank account. So, he hired Hansi Flick. Flick wasn't some Barcelona legend. He never wore the shirt. And he had absolutely zero history at the club. Nostalgia? The legendary Barca DNA? Even the transfer budget? He didn't care about any of it. All he cared about was winning. A proper German. Just look at those blue eyes. Sharp. Demanding. From day one, the shift was obvious. By 2025, this Barca squad looked exactly like the glory days of modern football. The whole team played faster and smarter. You had Koundé turning into a brick wall, and Pedri looking like the direct heir to Xavi and Iniesta. Lamine Yamal played like the best player on earth, despite just being a teenager. Rafinha suddenly looks like a true Ballon d'Or contender. Every single guy in the squad got better under Flick, from veterans like Rafinha and Lewandowski to outcasts with one foot out the door like Ferran Torres and Eric Garcia. They finally stopped living in the past. They started fighting for the future. The dressing room had this brand new mindset. No giving up. No crumbling under pressure. That is exactly how they snatched a domestic treble, just one season after winning absolutely nothing. Flick lifted 3 trophies, 2 of them at Real Madrid's expense in the finals. And he pulled it off with just a single signing in Dani Olmo. He took that exact same 2024 roster and forged the most lethal team in European football. Now, every single piece is clicking into place. The new Camp Nou is here, a billion-dollar masterpiece. A gorgeous, modern stadium for a totally revitalized team. Barcelona inked the biggest Nike deal in football history, with 158 million euros paid right up front. No more desperate cash grabs, no more selling off star players just to survive. The club is out of the red. The financial crisis is over. Leading the charge is that true Barca DNA. The youth from La Masia. From Lamine Yamal and Fermin Lopez to Kubasi, Alejandro Balde, and Gavi, academy kids who stepped up to play like grown men. They are the beating heart of this new era at Barcelona. And honestly, they are just getting started. Pulling the strings is Laporta, and he is not finished yet. He is plotting one last massive move, a true statement signing, a name that tells the globe that Barca is back. Whoever lands in Catalonia, it won't just be another transfer. It will be a clear warning to world football, because this isn't just about winning football matches anymore. It is about taking back power and pride. Laporta was never just a club president. He is the guy who dragged Barcelona back from the brink, twice. First when the club lost its identity, and then again when it nearly lost everything. He took massive risks and faced brutal criticism, but he won the bet every single time. And honestly, bringing in Hansi Flick might be his greatest masterstroke ever. To see exactly how the German boss completely rebuilt this Barcelona squad, click the video right here.